Hey guys, Billy Davidson here with Davidson Pressure Washing and Painting, Alabama. The great state of Alabama this afternoon, doing some power washing at this facility. We're going to show you how to soft wash, if you will, metal siding, but with a pressure washer using a very specific technique called downstream, through some of the chemical ratios of how to clean metal buildings. So go check out BillyDavidsonVIP.com if you would like to find out how to price some of this commercial work. There's a training course that's very specifically designed on how to estimate commercial pressure washing business. So guys, y'all stay tuned, come along with us, and let's soft wash. All right guys, as you see here, Apex is on the one soft washing this metal building. Now we're just downstreaming this. We're gonna go over the chemical ratio that we're using on this particular building. Now this particular building isn't really all that molded and mildewed, but we're gonna just come in and freshen it up, get some new construction dust off of it and some other contaminants off the metal building, just make it look really nice and fresh, give it that shiny look. If it does have mold and mildew on it, we're gonna kind of go over some of those chemicals and what ratios that you can use and what you don't want to use, and a couple other things that you don't want to do when power washing metal building. So we're going to show y'all some metal roll-up doors as well, and this should help a lot of the guys out. So right here we're using a technique called downstream injection. Downstream injection is a method that you can use with a downstream injector. So right here we're just using our wand to apply a 1% sodium hypochlorite solution with a downstream injector. If you're not familiar with what a downstream injector does, it'll pull about a 1 to 10 ratio. And if you're using straight 12.5% sodium hypochlorite, that means you're gonna probably have a net of about 1.25% coming out the nozzle under ideal conditions. And generally, that doesn't really occur. Most of the times we run in about a 1% because our 200 feet of pressure hose. And if you're using any more than 200 feet of pressure hose, you're likely to even draw a less of a solution, maybe even as low as 1 to 15 or perhaps even 1 to 20. Now again, this building is not all that mildew. It's just got a lot of dust on it and debris from a storm that recently passed by. But if it did have a lot of mildew on it, we would want to use a little bit stronger sodium hypochlorite to dissolve some of this mold or mildew. Another thing you want to be really careful with is these roll-up doors. A lot of times you'll see these grooves in these roll-up doors, and you have to pay a little bit extra attention when you're rinsing your solution off to get your water spray into those grooves and rinse them out, because these are actually traps for dirt, dust, mildew, and other contaminants that would make this door look awful if you left it unclean. Another very important caution you want to take is to never pressure wash a metal building. Only soft washing. If you put a pressure tip in your pressure washer, such as the green or the yellow or even a white tip into your pressure washer, and you went at this, you would scribble this up really bad and remove oxidation. And as soon as it dries the next day, they would be able to see wand marks or scribble marks all in the metal siding. Now that can be fixed, but it takes a lot of extra work, and that's something you do want to avoid. So guys, again, soft washing is the preferred technique for washing these metal buildings. The only other time that you would want to use pressure on a metal building is if it was going to be repainted, and that's a whole entirely new process that we'll talk about in another video. But for removing contaminants such as mildew and mold, soft washing is the preferred technique. And in my opinion, probably the only technique I would recommend after doing this for over 28 years. We're using a downstream injector to apply 1% sodium hypochlorite. Now, if the building has a much more active growth of mildew and mold on the building, you can go as high as 3 or even as 4%. If you're going to use 4%, I would recommend pre-wetting the building prior to applying your sodium hypochlorite, and don't apply the sodium hypochlorite in direct sun or let it dry on the surface. But in most cases, a 2 or 3% will achieve the desired result. Now that being said, if you do need a 2 or 3% to clean your building, you would have to use another method of applying your sodium hypochlorite other than downstreaming. Again, downstreaming is only going to pull about a 1% solution, which may not be strong enough. So you have to use another method such as an X-Jet or either a soft wash pump. Some of your 12-volt soft wash pumps can achieve this process, but it is a bit slower, but it can achieve the same process just taking a little more time on large commercial buildings such as this. And guys, the process would be the same way. If you're applying a much stronger solution, such as 2 or 3% sodium hypochlorite, you would not want that sodium hypochlorite to dry on a building. So you have to take small increment sections and work accordingly. And remember, if your solution is wet, it's still working. You can reapply a solution over another wet solution to achieve better results. But in most cases, if it's still wet, it's still working. This is still dripping and it's wet, so our solution is still actively working. By no means we want our solution to dry on the building or the doors, because it could leave a cloudy film that would be hard to remove later. Once your solution has dissolved any mold, mildew, or dirt on the building, now it's time to rinse. Again, we're not letting our solution dry on the building, but we want to rinse it with fresh water before the drying process is complete. And guys, I wanted to mention, if you happen to take a scrub brush to a metal building, be very careful, because you can remove oxidation even with a soft bristle scrub brush, causing that area to be seen very vividly during or after the drying process. After your solution has done its job, you want to rinse with fresh water, staying 4 to 6 feet away. My saying is, if the spray would hurt your hand, it will hurt the building. That would be too much pressure. So again, guys, this is shower head pressure, rinsing in a circular motion, high to low. All right, guys, thanks for watching our video on how to wash metal buildings. Please hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to know more information to help grow your pressure washing business, go check out the link down in the description, my website, BillyDavisonVIP.com, and I hope to see you in the next video.